Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, July the 23rd, and we are here to look at the new releases that are being set into the wild this week. And this light is just not, yeah, this is real live streaming, so I guess we'll deal with it. Hope you had a very good night. We are here this morning to look at the new releases being set into the wild this week. And on Tuesdays, we look at mysteries and thrillers. Every day of the week, we look at a different genre of what's being released this week. And so today is the day for the grittier side. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I do them 3 times a week. I do Tuesdays and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. Good morning, Kim. How you doing? All right, let's go look at the darker side. First up, Sandra Brown has a new one, and I did check. This is a new one. We are trusting Goodreads. And we're counting this as on the mystery side. It could fall on the romance side-ish, but we're going to do a mystery. Arden Gentry flew to the lush island of Maui for one specific purpose, inserting herself into Drew McCaslin's life. The dashing widower, having bitterly grieved the death of his wife, is ready to start living again and believes their meeting is a sign to keep moving forward. He and his young son Matt are drawn to Arden's warmth and tenderness, and they open their wounded hearts to her. But even as the passion between Drew and Arden begins to point toward love, she harbors the secret behind their inextricable bond, a revelation that could rip them apart. This is romantic suspense, it says. Heather Graham has a new one. Again, I checked, and we're trusting Goodreads that this is a new release today. Oh no, I'm awake. About all I can say. That is a good start. Much better than the alternative. A Murderer Among Us. Undercover in the French Quarter with only each other to trust. A legendary rock band's reunion is just a ruse for FBI agent Chase McCoy's investigation. 7 years ago, Skyhawk's lead singer died under suspicious circumstances. Chase knows Sky Ferguson is fronting the band in her father's honor for the same reason Chase has agreed to be the drummer. They want answers, but having to pose as a couple makes them question just how far they'll go for the truth. And there's a free bonus story included in this volume. If You Tell a Lie by Lucinda Berry. They never considered how his wife might react or that by the end of the summer a man would be dead, but Blakely always got her way and the others followed her lead, even when they knew it was dead wrong. The girls had been friends from day one at Camp Pendleton, a haven for gifted children, but their senior summer was different. When Mr. Crosby, the handsome tennis coach, wound up murdered after a reckless lie, Blakely, Grace, Meg, and Thera swore themselves to secrecy and never spoke to each other again until now. 20 years later, a sinister note claiming to know what they did brings them back together, and once again, Blakely is pulling the strings. Good afternoon, Helen. How are you doing? How's your day been? Echoes of Memory by Sarah Driscoll. The only witness to a murder she can't remember, a woman with post-traumatic amnesia, races to piece together the puzzle of her fragmented memories before it's too late. Some memories are stolen by time, others are stolen by violence. After surviving a terrible attack, Quinn Fleming has recovered in every way but one. Excuse me. her ability to retain new memories. Now, months later, it appears to the outside world as if the San Diego florist's life is back to normal. But Quinn is barely holding on, relying on a notebook she carries with her at all times, a record of her entire existence since the assault. So when she witnesses a murder in the shadowy alley behind the florist shop, Quinn immediately writes down every terrifying detail of the incident before her amnesia wipes it away. By the time the police arrive, there's no body, no crime scene, and no clues. The killing seems as erased from reality as it is from Quinn's mind, until the flashbacks begin. Suddenly, fragments of memories are surfacing, mere glimpses of that horrible night, but enough to convince Quinn that somewhere, locked in her subconscious, is the key to solving the case. And she's not the only one who knows. Somebody else has realized Quinn is a threat that needs to be eliminated. Now, with her life on the line and only her notes to guide her, Quinn sets out to find a killer she doesn't remember, but can't forget. There's a tagline for you. Hang on, need some coffee. A Dream in the Dark by Robert Justice. Denver, 1992. Claudette Cooper and Moses King have been failed by the justice system. Claudette was sexually assaulted and brutally attacked. Blinded by the perpetrator, she's not able to identify him until she has a dream about the attack where she sees the face of Moses King. When Claudette testifies that she's identified her attacker from her dream, Moses is wrongfully convicted and sent to prison for the crime. I'm sorry, that is a bad attorney. Lawyer Liza Brown has seen firsthand the failings and shortcomings of the justice system. Her father also suffered the injustice of a wrongful conviction. As she's working at a nonprofit to free those who have been wrongfully imprisoned, Moses reaches out to her. Liza sees the obvious cracks in the evidence against Moses, and when he confesses that he knew her father, she's determined to help. Recruiting her old friend Eli Stone to assist, Liza sets out to prove Moses's innocence. But Eli is dealing with demons of his own. Corrupt cops are targeting black residents of Denver, and when his nephew is beaten by the police, Eli doubles down on his efforts to expose them. Frustrated, Liza turns to Moses's accuser, Claudette, for help, but Claudette is hiding a dark secret, and as tensions in Denver rise, the city erupts in protests and riots. Blah, blah, blah. The rest is blurbage. What Will Burn Last by Heather Chavez. That sounds familiar, the one with the amnesia. That was a really common trope for a while. I'm not surprised. Three Women. When she was 12, Elena Clark watched her older sister Grace walk away from their Sierra Nevada foothills home with her boyfriend Adam Duran. Neither was ever seen again. 16 years later, a stranger who looks like Grace shows up at the restaurant where Lena works and vanishes soon after. When it comes out that Lena was one of the last people to have talked with the young woman, Lena's childhood crush Dominic, who is also Adam's brother, pleads with her to do the last thing she wants to do, come home. Three secrets. But Lena isn't the only one who hasn't been able to leave the fateful night behind. Her mother, Meredith, still lives in the family's old home, even if she claims to believe the police's theory that Grace and Adam were willing runaways. Down the street, Adam and Dominic's mother, Olivia, has also stayed, determined to be there when her son finally returns, and to prove that Meredith and Lena have been hiding something all these years. But the past isn't the only threat to the two families or the missing girl. As a wildfire sparks, tempers flare, and intentions turn deadly, because someone in the neighborhood knows what really happened that night and just how good the forest is at keeping its secrets. Who will you trust? The Lost Boy of Santa Chiona? Calabria, 1960. Francesca Loffield, a 27-year-old starry-eyed American, arrives in the isolated mountain village of Santa Chiona, tasked with opening a nursery school. There is no road, no doctor, no running water or electricity, and thanks to a recent flood that swept away the post office, there's no mail either. Most troubling, though, is the human skeleton that surfaced after the floodwaters receded. Who is it, and why don't the police come and investigate? When the local priest housekeeper begs Francesca to help determine if the remains are those of her long missing son, Francesca begins to ask a lot of inconvenient questions. As an outsider, she might be the only person who can uncover the truth. Or she might be getting in over her head. As she attempts to juggle nosy landlady, a suspiciously dashing shepherd, and a network of local families bound together by a code of silence, Francesca finds herself forced to choose between the charitable mission that brought her to Santa Chonia and her future happiness, between truth and survival. The Last Thing She Saw by Nina Lauren. After a flood destroys the historic center of a small Quebec town, a child's body is discovered. The remains are decades old and nearly impossible to identify, yet everyone knows at once who they belong to. 9-year-old Michelle Fortier vanished without a trace in 1979, and her fate has remained unknown until now. Stephanie O'Malley grew up in her mother's crumbling trailer listening to stories of Michelle's disappearance, stories she once tried to turn into a podcast without much success. Although Stephanie left Marley 15 years ago and vowed never to return, she finds herself back with her tempestuous mother Laura, her high school sweetheart Luke, and the entire community in an uproar. While Stephanie struggles to separate the truth from wild rumors about witchcraft and town-wide conspiracies, Laura is consumed by the strange feeling that all this has happened before. But then a bombshell drops. The body might not be Michelle after all. The Man Who Knew Too Much by Nev Fountain, first in the Kit Pelham mysteries. Perfect for fans of classic TV such as Doctor Who and Star Trek, wobbly cardboard sets, and spandex costumes. Okay, I'm partway in. Kit Pelham is a professional fan, interviewer, host of the podcast The First Cult is the Deepest, and occasional obituary writer, except this time the obituary is for her friend, maverick podcaster Wolf Tyler, who has been murdered in his shed during a live broadcast moments before revealing a huge secret about the cult TV show Vixens from the Void. Kit and her group of friends and fellow superfans soon realized Wolf had discovered something about the disappearance of Lily Sparks, an extra on Vixens from the Void back in 1986, and it was a secret worth killing for. To find justice for their friend and, much more importantly, new trivia about their favorite TV show, the gang decide to put together a then and now Blu-ray documentary that will reunite the original cast and crew. Armed with only a shoestring budget, an occasional soggy drone, action figures in the original packaging, and encyclopedic knowledge of 1980s sci-fi TV, they have just 4 days to discover Wolf's secret and solve his murder. I don't know now. It sounds a little too young adultish. I don't know. We'll see. The Drowning House by Cherie Priest. Houses fall into the Pacific Ocean all the time. Not one has ever come back. Until today. A violent storm washes a mysterious house onto a rural Pacific Northwest beach, stopping the heart of the only woman who knows what it means. Her grandson, Simon Culpepper, vanishes in the aftermath, leaving 2 of his childhood friends to comb the small, isolated island for answers. But decades have passed since Melissa and Leo were close, if they were ever close at all. Now they'll have to put aside old rivalries and grudges if they want to find or save the man who brought them together in the first place. And on the way, they'll learn a great deal about the sinister house on the beach, the man who built it, and the evil he's bringing back to Marrowstone Island. This is a horror thriller, it says. Well, it snuck in because we don't do horror. The Best Lies by David Ellis. Leo Balanoff is a diagnosed pathological liar with unthinkable skeletons in his family's closet. He's also a crusading attorney who seeks justice at all costs. When a ruthless drug dealer is found dead and Leo's fingerprints show up on the murder weapon, no one believes a word he says. But he might be the FBI's only shot at taking down the dealer's brutal syndicate. Risk his life going undercover for the feds or head straight to prison for murder? Leo accepts the FBI's offer, but it comes with a price, including a collision course with his ex, Andy Piotrowski, a former cop and the one who got away. Forced to walk a tightrope between an ambitious FBI agent and a cruel, calculating crime boss, Leo's trapped in a corner. But he has more secrets than anyone realizes, and a few more cards left to play. Seraphim by Joshua Perry. A 16-year-old confesses to the murder of a local celebrity, a hero of New Orleans' shaky post-storm recovery. The boy's father, doing life in prison on the installment plan for a series of minor offenses, will do anything to save him. Enter Ben Alder, a carpet-banging attorney and former rabbinical seminary student who has drifted down to New Orleans. He winds up defending them both. Ben and his partner Boris are public defenders obsessed with redeeming their case histories of failures and willing to do anything to protect their clients. As Ben tries to disrupt a corrupt and racist criminal justice system that believes an inexplicable crime has been solved, he confronts his own legacy of loss and faith. And as the novel hurtles towards its tragic redemptive conclusion, Ben finds himself an onlooker and a perpetrator where he thought he was the hero. No Road Home by John Fram. For years, single father Toby Tucker has done his best to keep his sensitive young son Luca safe from the bigotry of the world. But when Toby marries Alyssa Wright, the granddaughter of a famed televangelist known for his grandiose Old Testament preaching, he can't imagine the world of religion, wealth, and hate that he and Luca are about to enter. A trip to the Wright family's compound in sun-scorched Texas soon turns hellish when Toby realizes that Alyssa and the rest of her brood have dangerous plans for him and his son. The situation only grows worse when a freak storm cuts off the roads and the family patriarch is found murdered, stabbed in the chest on the roof of their sprawling mansion. Suspicion immediately turns to Toby, but when his son starts describing a spectral figure in a black suit lurking around the house with unfinished business in mind, Toby realizes this family has more than murderer to conceal and to fear. As the Wrights close in on Luca, no one is prepared for the lengths Toby will go in the fight to clear his name and protect his son in this grand Gothic story, as enthralling as it is terrifying. This next one is a historical that was catching my attention. A Jewel in the Crown by David Lewis. It's being blurbed as James Bond meets Maisie Dobbs. Except Maisie Dobbs was World War I. This is World War II. 1940, weeks after the evacuation of Dunkirk, Germany is poised to invade a near-defenseless Britain. To safeguard the crown jewels from the Nazis, Winston Churchill devises a daring gamble to have them shipped overseas. The priceless artifacts will be secretly removed from the Tower of London and driven north to Scotland by two operatives posing as a young married couple, to be taken from there to Canada. Catherine Colleen, a Welsh coal miner's daughter and an ardent socialist, will play the wife of Lord Marlton, Hector Neville Percy. A less likely couple is at first difficult to imagine. Yet Catherine's bold, streetwise confidence and sharp wits complement Hector's social ease and connections, essential to a second part of their mission, uncovering Nazi sympathizers within the highest ranks of Britain's aristocracy. Battling enemies within and without, Catherine wonders if anyone in their circle can be trusted, even her partner. And when unexpected events catapult her into a life-or-death chase across the continent, the morale of a nation and the fate of Europe itself in the balance. This is from the Secret Churchill Files series, which I've not read. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Catch a Tiger by the Toe, a Magnolia Bluff crime, 26 in series by Joe Congle. A child is snatched from her stroller and murdered. 72 hours later, a little boy suffers the same fate. The only clues are a couple of photos, an old counting nursery rhyme, a flash drive, and a stuffed toy animal left near each of the bodies. Is it the work of a killer preying on children or something even worse? Retired NYPD Detective Brandon Turner is in a race against time as he hunts for the killer before another child dies. Once again asked to work alongside the local police, Turner finds himself clashing with the lead investigator as they set their sights on stopping a madman killer who has forced them into a sick game of catch me if you can. Police Chief Tommy Jager and Sergeant Investigator Reese Sovereign are counting on Turner's skills as a former big city cop to help them rein in the terror in the hearts of every parent in a little town nestled along the Texas Hill Country called Magnolia Bluff. And that's all we got. All righty. Well, I hope I see you tonight. We do have sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow's morning show will be romance books being set into the wild this week. Need some more coffee. Stay cool and hydrated. It's going to cross 100 degrees here in Billings, Montana. Read good books. If you're not reading a book that you're enjoying, it's okay to set it aside. It's just on pause. It's not a reflection of the book or the author or you. It's just not the right time for those three things to come together. So reading is fun. It's okay. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.